This evening we are going to take a look at 5 punchlines from Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka are relatively much bigger than those other well-known Upanishads like Isha or Kena, Katha or Mundaka. And many a time, lot of students somehow don't get the opportunity to study Chandogya Upanishad or Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Sometimes they think that, oh, these are not necessary at all. And sometimes teachers do say, study one Upanishad very well, that is enough. While what they say is not false, I must hasten to add that from another angle of view, if you have not studied Chandogya or Brihadaranyaka, you have missed something splendid, something magnificent, something very substantial. This is in no way creating some fear in anybody or a sense of, oh my God, then I am nowhere. I have not studied Chandogya or Brihadaranyaka. It is not to make anybody feel low about themselves, but it is more to say, if you can, if you have the opportunity, do study Chandogya and Upanishad. We do not contradict the statements by certain saints and sages, scholars, that Gita alone is enough. We do agree with that. Someone said Viveka Chudamani alone is enough. Nothing else is required. Yes, there is much truth in it. However, as I already said, from another angle of view, it would be wonderful for anybody to study Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka. Bulky they are, but even selected portions from there can bring a fresh breeze of air to our spiritual life. With that general introduction and saying Chandogya Upanishad is from Samaveda, like Kena Upanishad is, and there are 8 chapters. Though the 6th, 7th, and 8th are substantial in the teachings on Brahma Vidya, Atma Jnana, and so on, there are precious statements in the first 5 chapters also. By punchline, all I mean is some statements which have certain extra weight, which can appeal to us, with which we can relate, which can be very helpful to us on both the planes of dharma and moksha. Dharma is where we straighten our daily life. We make our life value based. We make our life have certain noble qualities of head and heart. It is remaining as an individual, we become a far more good human being, contributing as well as enjoying inner serenity, greater sense of satisfaction about our own life. Otherwise, as you know very well, if our life is not going by noble, true values of life, however much of position, power, fame, name, wealth, etc., we may have, there is no true peace. We live in fear. We live in artificialities. We show off, knowing very well we are empty inside, and so on. Whereas a value based life, though it has a price to pay, though we may have to let go of some comforts for living such a life, it gives us certain deeper satisfaction. It's better to live shorter life in dharma than to live a long 100, 110, 120 going by adharma. Dharma is the greatest wealth of all, and all our scriptures, including Upanishads, talk about dharma. One or two examples I will take from the Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad this evening, relate to dharma. And then Upanishads do talk about moksha. Moksha is their primary topic. It is not exaggeration or incorrect to say Upanishads are essentially moksha shastra. They are not primarily dharma shastra. They are primarily moksha shastra, but they also cover dharma shastra to an extent. If you want detailed description of what dharma is, we must go to the Smritis, Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, Parashara Smriti. Or you don't have much access to Smritis, you may go to Bhagavad Gita. There are detailed descriptions of right living. Or you may go to Mahabharata, where there is Viduraniti, Yaksha Prashna, and so many dialogues between Yudhishthira and Krishna, Yudhishthira and maybe Bhima. There are so many samvada dialogues in Mahabharata, in Ramayana, where when immense light is thrown on right living. But Upanishads specialize in Moksha Shastra. Chandogya Upanishad is one of the very beautiful works, and we will now take up the first selected line, which gives us some insight into how we must do our duties. The very first chapter, first khanda, and the 10th mantra says, Yadeva vidyaya karoti shraddhaya upanishada tadeva viryavattaram bhavati iti khalu etasya eva aksharasya upavyakyanam bhavati. The main part is Yadeva vidyaya karoti shraddhaya upanishada tadeva viryavattaram bhavati. Many a time you and I go through a little depression, feeling, oh, I'm not living rightly, things are not going rightly for me, and so on. We don't realize that unknowingly, being not conscious of it, we are paying attention to phala, what we got. How many people praised us? How many people thanked us? How many people smiled at us? How many people adored us? Our eyes are on those things. And if not many admire us, not many appreciate us, not many say good words about us, our heart sinks. Sri Krishna in the Gita goes to great length, saying, reduce your emphasis on what you get from the world, from people. Increase your attention to how you do, what you give. Even the pledge of Chinmaya Mission goes, we stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect, etc. There's a beautiful prayer in English and in Sanskrit. And then there is the line, we believe in giving more than what we take, producing more than what we consume. Those are powerful new expressions for the same truth of Karma Yoga. Do better, give better. What you owe to others, give more generously. And God willing, your love, your good work is reciprocated. But for some reason, if you do not get proper response, proper appreciation in return, Take a deep breath and say, God is watching everything, but let me double check whether I did my work properly or not. This mantra in the Chandogya says to us, Yadeva Vidyaya. There are three criterion. Do you do everything that you do in daily life with Vidya? Vidya meaning proper knowledge. Before doing something, have you acquired the knowledge for doing it? Before collecting your driving license, have you done enough practice? Have you gone through all the rules? Or somehow you got the driving license by hook or crook and you are going at high speed on the highways, on the main roads of some city and so on. Nowadays, some boys and girls born to some very rich families take out very expensive, fast cars. They are only 15-year-old and they're going at high speed on some Ferrari or something, killing people. That's the opposite of what is said here. Here, the Upanishad says, do everything with proper preparation. Be knowledgeable. In fact, I was sharing with a friend this evening when she said to me about, she said, your lectures are good. I said, oh, well, I'm managing. But to be frank with you, many a time I prepare just what is required to deliver the lecture. She said, yeah, that is enough, right? I said, no. The desirable approach is you must prepare 10 times as much and then 10% of it should be presented in a lecture. This idea I got, in the Bhashya that Adi Shankaracharya wrote on Brahma Sutras. There is a sutra, Shastra Yonitvat. It is the third sutra after Atato Brahma Jidnasa Janmadhyasyataha. You have Shastra Yonitvat. And Shankaracharya gives a beautiful commentary on it. God is the yoni, is the source of the Vedas. Vedas have come out from God like the breath of a human being. You and I are breathing every day. From the moment we are born, we are breathing. Brahadaranyaka has a line of that sort. Yasya nishvasitam hi Vedaha. Vedas are the outbreath of God. So Shastra Yonitvat means that, but Shankaracharya then elaborating on it says, just as an author who writes, these are my words, an author writes a book of 1000 pages on some subject. And a good author who has done a good job of a book of 1000 words typically knows 10 times more than that. He has studied the subject in great detail and then he selects what would fit into a book and then brings out a book. Just as an author knows much more than what he shares with readers in a book, God, who has given the Vedas, who has given all the scriptures, is Sarvajna. Rather than saying much more, we must, with regard to God, we must say, He is all-knowing. So like that, Vidyaya Karoti, our attempt should be to know a lot more and then on occasions share with people. Share with people a part of it. Not the other way around. You know a little, then you bluff for remaining time. 1 hour you speak, 30 minutes is what you knew pretty well. Other 30 minutes, especially if the audience doesn't know anything, you bluff. And later on, people make a comment. Vidyaya karoti, shraddhaya. Even if we don't have faith at a given moment, we must develop. If we are sure that the work we are doing is not right, not dharmic, not as per our Swadharma, then work towards changing your area of work. But once you have examined, thought over, and say that this is my work, this is my mission of life, this is where I get maximum satisfaction. I want to dedicate my life for this field of work. In my town where I grew up, namely Kundapur, there was a young high school going girl, and in front of her eyes, her father died because medical help did not come to the family. They were not much rich also, they were poor. So they were phoning those days, good old days, landline. The doctor or other medical help didn't come in time, and the father died. This 15-year-old girl strongly felt this should not happen to more people like my father. I will become a doctor. And of course, it so turned out that she had the intelligence and the tendencies to study the medical science. She later became one of the best doctors, now probably retired, but about her it was said. She decided to be a doctor the day her father died, right under her nose. So, whatever way, it's not about fame and name, it's not about earning a lot of wealth, but it's about doing the things which anyhow we are doing with certain faith, certain feeling. I believe in doing this. I fit in well here. I love to do this. So that is also a kind of belief. Otherwise, we drag on, pulling our feet, dragging our feet, whatever you say. Thirdly, it is said Upanishada. Shankaracharya says Upanishad Shabda here means, he gives the Sanskrit synonym yoga, and I would interpret that word yoga as concentration. This explanation for the third criterion, Yadeva Vidyaya Karoti Shraddhaya Upanishada, this interpretation or this, the best interpretation for this, do it with concentration, do it with involvement, is from Puja Swami Chidananda, who said, let your mind be where your hands are. That's it. Our hands are in some work. Maybe it is making a cup of coffee, or maybe it is some very high-tech, complicated job. But our mind should fully be with the hands. So this is not Brahma Vidya here. This is not some transcendental wisdom, but for day-to-day life, how we may increase our own worthiness. Nobody is saying, Upanishad is not saying what Narayana Murthy said, work 70 hours a week. You know, we respect Narayana Murthy, great man. And in an interview recently, he defended himself. He said, I continue to say, and I will go to the grave. I'll go to my grave saying that tech professionals, executives in our country should work 70 hours per week. I don't believe that is a very balanced statement, but still I respect the man and I respect the man's passion about what he said. So Upanishads are not saying number of hours, nor are they saying, it's okay if you work some 20 hours a week. No. They are not telling you to relax so much. Find out your optimum capacity, how much you can work with a sense of balance to the whole of life. But whatever you do, yadeva vidyaya karoti, shraddhaya karoti, upanishada karoti, tat karma viryavatharam bhavati. That shines, that work will have a beauty about it. Whether the world recognizes it or not, God sees it. And God will bless you with the best rewards, if not immediately, in due course of time. Karmanyevadikaraste Your concern should be to do whatever you are doing very well, in a beautiful way. Then we go to, before going to those 6, 7, and 8, as I said, chapter 6, 7, and 8 are solid Vedanta, that is solid Brahma Vidya. Before that, we are quickly taking a look at chapter 3 of Chandogya Upanishad, 14th Khanda, the very first mantra. There is a famous, much quoted statement, Sarvam khal vidam brahma tajjalaniti shanta upasita. It has two parts. Sarvam khalu idam brahma. What makes Adi Shankaracharya say, the Shastras preach Advaita Vedanta or Advaita Tatya, Advaita Satya, is such statements. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Brahma, of whom Ishvara, God, is an expression. Brahma itself becomes Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. Brahma is everything outside and inside, everything above and below. Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Somewhere else you hear Sarvam Mithya. Everything is illusory. Don't put two equations together and say, therefore, Brahma must be illusory. Because in simple mathematics, A equals B, and second statement is A equals C, then B should equal C. Somebody did such maths on Vedanta. Brahma is everything, everything is illusory, therefore Brahma should be another illusion. Rama Rama. It is not so. What you presently perceive, how you presently see this world, with its attractions, with its repulsions, with its threats, with its temptations, something makes our mouth water. Something else makes us tremble in fear. Something else bores us so much, as this lecture may be doing to some here. We don't know. Something in this world is such pleasure. A thing of beauty is a joy forever, said John Keats. These poets would walk by some unknown fields, looking at plants, trees, birds, bushes, flowers, insects, and so on. They would go into raptures. Whether Kalidasa or Bharavi or Bana, the poets in India, poets in Kannada and English, Tamil and Hindi, and so on, or abroad, the poets see so much beauty. Yes, the world has tremendous beauty. The world also has tremendous suffering. So this world, as we perceive today, is negated. Everything is illusion. As you grow spiritually, in beauty as well as in ugliness, you will see the truth of Brahman. You will have such a broad angle of view that you will say Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma thus is a higher statement. Sarvam Mithya, Sarvam Kshanikam, Sarvam Dukkham, etc. is to generate Vairagya and to push us upwards for a better spiritual understanding. The highest truth is Sarvam Khalu. Khalu is indeed Idam Brahma. Right away then there is the statement Tajjalaniti Shanta Upasita. This is another typical or very, I should say, typical also in some way, but unique in some other way. In a very cryptic manner, so much is said. Tat, that Brahma, Ja iti upasita, La iti upasita, and An iti upasita. Upasita means upasanam kurvita. You must contemplate on that divine truth which is you also, which has expressed as you, which has expressed as the mountains and rivers. So that Brahma is to be meditated upon as Ja, La and An. So Ja, La and An becomes Jalan. Tat Jalan iti upasita. Now you wonder, what is this Ja, what is this La, what is this An? That is right away a summary statement of what is said elsewhere in other Upanishads. Taitreya Upanishad says, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, jayante, born, that from which everything is born, that is Ja. After being born, things stay there, they live for some time. That is An. An is the root in words that you know very well. Prana. Prana is pra plus An. Pran, then prana. Breathe. So Brahma is that in which all living beings are born. Ja, jayate, An, aniti, singular, lives, breathes. And then La is laya, liyante. So that in which Shashti Sthiti Laya take place of all living beings. Yatho va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhivishanti, tad brahmeti vijanihi, vijidnasasva. We have especially in the second and third vallis of Taittiriya Upanishad, we are told, contemplate on God, who is the source of everything, including you. So that is another very memorable and helpful vakya from Chandogya Upanishad. We now go to the celebrated sixth chapter. Shashte Adhyaye. Why is it so celebrated? The very well known Tattvamasi appears not once or twice, 9 times. Navavaram, Navakritvaha, in this sixth chapter alone of Chandogya Upanishad. For our consideration this evening, we will see sixth chapter, seventh khanda. This chapter has 16 khandas, and the first first six khandas do not have, and later on every khanda. Rather, it is eighth khanda. That's a printing error. So eighth khanda onwards. The first 7 khandas talk about various beautiful other topics, but 8th to 16, that is 9 khandas. Khanda is section. In each of these 9 sections, the latter 9 sections of chapter 6, we have pretty much the same paragraph with slight changes. Father of Yuddhalaka says to Shvetaketu the son, Saya Eshaha Anima. Anu means extremely subtle. You won't see it so easily. You need training to see something subtle. Sukshma. Saya Esha Anima. My son, this entire creation, my life, your life, her life, his life, all lives of all of us are pervaded by something very subtle. Saya Esha Anima. Aitadatmamidam sarvam. All this has this subtle truth I am referring to as their Atma. The inner self of all of us is one, that subtle truth. Then, Aitadatmamidam sarvam tat satyam. That alone is the truth. The rest of it is play of the mind. Rise to higher levels of consciousness. You will realize what your sense organs and organs of action have all along beaten the trumpet and described to you, interpreted for you what this world is false. The world perceived by mere indriyas, perceived by a conditioned mind, prejudiced mind, impure mind, a programmed mind is not true. Rise in consciousness. It was the founder of Meditation and Study Circle, Sri Krishnamurti, in one of his books, which I glanced at when I was spending some time at the School of Ancient Wisdom some years ago, gave an interesting definition for meditation. I haven't read much of him, or he has written many books, but in one book where I glanced some pages, he says meditation is a vertical movement in consciousness. I liked it. Our consciousness is so low these days, or at this time in our life. Even during a meditation lecture, we may think about a long time since I saw a movie. Maybe tonight. YouTube has everything. Our mind goes to a movie, our mind goes to some food and drink, our mind goes to some, those. Whereas they all have a place of their own. We are not here to condemn them, but life also has greater possibilities. So, meditation, a vertical movement of consciousness. Buddhalaka says, Tat Satyam Sa Atma. Saha Atma. That is what we call Atma, the one pure self in everyone. Tattvam Asi. Believe me, you are that. You are not this individual, this limited personality, this son of mine, or student of that teacher, or brother of the sister of yours. All of them have relative reality. But more you know deeply, you will realize you are that Atma. Atma Tattvam Asi Shvetaketo. Then Shvetaketu is excited. He says, Bhuya eva me Bhagavan Vijnapayatu. Tell me more about this. Giving more illustrations, more examples, more narratives, anecdotes, more settings through different analogies, different lines of logical thinking. Buddhalaka says this Tattvamasi Shvetaketo 9 times in the 9 khandas, the 8th khanda all the way up to 16th khanda. Therefore, Tattvamasi cannot be left out. It is a punchline among all punchlines. It is the dada of all punchlines. Now we go to the 7th chapter. In the 7th chapter, there is a very interesting meeting between two greats. Narada is a great rishi. Devarshi he is. Devascha asau rishishcha. He is born to Brahma. Chaturmukha Brahma's Manasaputra he is. Therefore, he is not a human being. He roams around in human form. But he is Devarshi, a divine sage with vast knowledge. And yet he has unhappiness in life. He then goes to a young rishi, Sanat Kumar, who ever remains young, and confesses, I am revered, I am held in high esteem everywhere, but I am unhappy. How do I cross sorrow? I have heard by Atmajnana I can cross sorrow. Tarati Shokam Atmavit. And Sanat Kumara takes Narada through many steps of thinking, contemplation, probably some exercises too. They must have met not to all in one go. They meet, then there are some exercises. They again meet after 3 or 4 days. Again, one more dialogue. So those details are not given in Upanishads typically, but it must be a long journey. Of course, considering the extraordinary merit of Narada, He must have done in 10 days what you and I would take 10 years or 10 lives for that matter. So then I am picking up the statement which is most quoted in from this chapter. Towards the end, when this seventh chapter has 26 khandas, we have 23rd khanda saying, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham, na alpe sukhamasti. Narada, though you are so much respected everywhere, and you also have bouts of ego at times, how accomplished you are, but the fact of the matter is, what you know, what you are in this world is all finite, limited. They are not eternal. Alpe, in the limited, there is no lasting happiness. Na alpe sukhamasti. The infinite alone. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham. Bhuma is another Sanskrit word for the infinite. Elsewhere, you know the more common word ananta. Alpa is sa anta santa. Anta sahitam santam. Anta rahitam anantam. Yo anantah yat anantam tatra eva tasmin eva sukham asti. Anyam sukham ashashvatam. But how do I know the Bhuma? And then, of course, Sanat Kumara doesn't leave Narada in the lurch. Rather, Sanat Kumara says, he has a very poetic expression. Swami Vivekananda apparently loved this paragraph. Yatra nanyat pashyati nanyat shrunoti nanyat vijanati sabhuma. Bhuma is that where there is no otherness. Thoughts, thoughts which are conditioned, thoughts which are programmed, thoughts which are having a baggage with them, they again and again make you imagine you are a winner there but a loser there. You are good here but bad there. You have accomplished in some sense but losing out these days. And alas, my life has been quite blessed but looks like it is coming to an end. I don't want to leave but looks like I have to die now. Thoughts. Who is saying all this? It is thoughts. And what is Bhuma? Where thoughts, thanks to the Vedantic awakening, shut their mouth. They don't say you are higher than A or B. They don't say you are lower than X or Y. They don't say anything about who you are. You know who you are in the silence of divine intuition. Vedanta is to awaken that intuition. Vedanta's purpose is to drive away, chase away millions of thoughts which were all along constantly defining you. If you have seen the movie Lion King or read the story of Lion King, I'm referring to the animation movie of Disneyland or Disney movies, which came out somewhere in 94 or so, 1993, 94. I had first gone to United States. I had no idea of USA, and I also ended up in Los Angeles. They took me to Disneyland, and there was also a big show. I forgot what they call it, a kind of a procession. All the in the Disneyland in Los Angeles, all the characters of this animation movie, which had been released a while ago at that time, all the characters, including the Lion King and all those. Lion King is called Simba there. Simba, his uncle, who is a very vicious fellow. Then some birds and other animals who help him. Some people, natives who beat drums. All of them were shown with actors, and the procession went, among many other things. And I think I saw the movie itself little later on television in some home. Why I'm mentioning is the little lion cub without knowing who I am, where I belong. Uh, if I remember right, finds that his father is killed. And through some trapping that his vicious uncle creates, the uncle makes this little young lion cub, who is Simba, who is the hero of the movie. In the confusion, Simba is made to believe that some mistake I made caused my father's death. I unknowingly pushed him or unknowingly pulled a stone or something, and my father fell into a gorge, fell down by 200, 300 feet and died there. Actually, that uncle had pushed this father of Simba. But Simba, the young boy means young lion, was made to believe that he was the culprit. And he was told, now they will catch you, they will punish you, you have killed your father, run for life. Simba runs and runs and runs and please runs away for life from where he was born and was being raised. That is where he gets some interesting friends, interesting other creatures, and they very lovingly look after him. And much later, Simba comes back to claim his throne. He is the king of the forest. And then also his heart suffers from certain guilt. But I am that wretched fellow who killed his own father. He was not. But the thoughts rising in his mind, thoughts rising repeatedly in his mind were saying to him, you are the killer, you are the worst sinner, you are a bad fellow, and so on. But luckily, with all good friends from the forest, he comes over. And then, I guess, before he actually tackles that uncle and kills him and so on, some wise person says to him, I was very much present that time. I have seen with my own eyes. It was not you who killed your father. It was this vicious uncle. Go after him. I tell you, believe me, I've seen with my eyes. You were so young, you didn't understand what was happening. Simba goes into a rage, and the movie ends on a very joyous note. The story ends on a happy note. Simba becomes the king again, Lion King. That goes so well with the Vedanta story. In the Vedanta also, yatra nanyat pashyasi, nanyat vijanati, nanyat shrunoti. Literally, hurriedly taken, we don't see anybody else. Oh, all people disappear or what? It's not about others vanishing from your life. Psychologically, you don't have the sense of he is he, I am I. He is low, I am high. He is high, I am low. Unfortunately, look at her, she is so rich. I don't know where to make two ends meet. All kinds of comparison, competition, judging others, judging ourselves, and sometimes our heart sinks, sometimes we feel on top of the world, but all this is a passing show. That is mithya. The absence of duality is, even though the personality has its gain and loss, victory and defeat, you don't identify yourself with the personality. Vedanta helps you quietly recognize how you are pure consciousness. You are the witness. And that witness is not a dumb witness. When you light a lamp, that lamp doesn't know who is in the room, what is going on in the room. So that's the limitation of the illustration. We do call the pure self the light of all lights. But this light of all lights knows everything. In the Upanishads it is said, I guess in Brahadaranyaka, Pashyati akarnaha, Pashyati achakshuhu, Shrunoti akarnaha. Without requiring eyes, that truth sees everything. Without requiring ears, it hears everything. Without requiring mind, it knows everything. There is a very serious topic, some other time one of us could deal with it. The topic is there intelligence beyond mind? Is there intelligence other than the one that we recognize in the mind? When somebody is intelligent, immediately we say, oh, his mind is so terrific. His intellect is so wonderful. Mind and intellect are given the credit. His body is so tiny and he is not handsome also with that twisted nose and protruding ears. But he has such mind and intellect. Oh, he is way above us. So such description, all credit is given to mind and intellect. But the Vedanta's position is there is a certain intelligence which is beyond mind. But we have no clue what it is. You can't make it an object which you can see. You can't see Brahma. You can't see Atma. You can't hold the horn, like holding the horn of an animal and bringing it in front. Dekho, see it. Nodi. Or holding the ears of a cow, you can pull that cow and you say to others, see this cow. That way you cannot bring the Atma in front of you or in front of anybody. But there is a way to know. Therefore, yatra nanyat pashyati, nanyat shrunoti, nanyat vijanati, sa bhuma, yatra anyat pashyati, anyat vijanati, anyat shrunoti, tad alpam. Finitude gets a new definition here. Alpa, not just less wealth or small house or less physical body and so on, but where the perception has a division, the other and I. Other and I. On the thought level, this division is created and it is taken as real. Then you are caught in alpa. On the level of thought, is duality is created, but you smile at it. You meaning the inner intelligence in you smiles at it. This duality is just for Vyavahara. That's what Gaudapada in Mandu Karika says. Upadeshad ayam vadaha. Gnate dvaitam na vidyate. For the transaction called running a class and somebody is teacher, others are learning, that is a transaction, a spiritual, a wonderful transaction, but it is a Vyavahara. Upadeshat ayam vadaha. Nate dvaitam na vidyate is a powerful line by Gaudapada in his Mandukya Karikas. That's what Chandogya Upanishad hints at. You are different from what you hear. Is Dvaita on a certain level, but in your awakening, you are the one who hears, you are the one that is heard. The subject and object do not have any division between them. When you know that Bhuma, then you will get true happiness. Lastly, something of relatively lesser significance from the seventh is over. Bhuma is Sanat Kumara Narada Samvada. That Tattvamasi was 6th chapter, Shweta Ketu and Uddalaka. 8th chapter, rather than going to again Brahma Vidya, which is given there by sage or the god form Prajapati, to Indra. Virochana and Indra go. Virochana is immature to Rajasic and jumps to a conclusion about what the highest truth is and doesn't even listen properly, walks away, imagining that he got the highest wisdom. Indra stays back, and towards the end, Indra gets the clearest wisdom of Brahman or Atman. But I am picking up in the 8th chapter, the last chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, section 13. This chapter has 15 sections, but I am taking 13. There is a prayer. Shamat Shabalam Prapadye, Shabalat Shamam Prapadye, Ashva iva romani vidhuya papam chandra iva rahoho mukhat pramuchya dhutva shariram akritam kritatma brahmalokam abhisambhavami iti. A little long line, but I'll highlight what is especially inspirational. It is said, Ashva iva romani vidhuya. A horse runs for a distance, good distance, and as he runs through dusty roads, jungle paths, and so on, a lot of dust gathers on his body. Finally, when he stops, maybe by a pond to drink some water, the horse shakes his body vigorously. All his hairs are given a shake. The dust goes away. Ashvahaiva romani vidhuya. Like that, the sadhaka says here, you and I, spiritual practitioners, no matter how foolish I have been in life all this time, no matter how many sins I committed, how many blunders I did, doesn't matter. Like that horse which shakes itself and shakes himself and throws away dust, I am going to drop all my past in the light of the Vedanta that I have been studying. I shall remain the gentle, quiet, unbiased, non-judgmental witness of whatever is happening in my life. Even though on a certain plane of transaction, I do things, I'll do my duties, but primarily, I will not be pulled down by memories of what went wrong in my life and so on. The past is gone. One more example. Viduya papam is there. Be free of sin. Chandra heva raho. During Chandragrahana, for a little while, Rahu has swallowed the moon. But wait, have patience. The moon comes out as though more shining than before. In this way, papam pramuchya, I shall abhisambhavami. I shall overcome all my obstacles. I shall overcome any difficulties. I have that potential. I will do it. So this is again motivational. This is not Brahma Vidya directly. Tattvamasi, Yovai Bhuma Tatsukam, or the definition of Bhuma, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. These three were on the high plane of Brahma Vidya. And then Yadeva Vidyaya Karoti Shraddhaya Upanishada, etc. And then this one, Shama Chabalam Prapadya, and then Ashvaiva Romani Viduya, Chandraha Raho Hoiva, Papam Pramuchya, and so on. This is a motivational mantra. Let us not be bogged down by thoughts and memories. Let us be attentive to the divine wisdom coming to us and anchoring ourselves in that. Let us be free. That is the message here. So these are the 5 punchlines. I'm happy to share with all of you. Let me pause here, making room for some questions if there are.